Welcome to the NY Patriot Show. In this episode, I got Brandon back. I've had him on twice already for covering the origin of the Democrats. And then, of course, I had to have him come back and cover origins of the Republicans, the Republican Party. Only to be fair, you know. And I happened to see him working on some stuff on his Instagram page, which... by the way, I do highly suggest to follow his Instagram. He does post some pretty in-depth, things, multiple pictures, all this info. And I saw him posting stuff about occult symbolism on Trump Tower, and I was like, oh, I'm all about that. It's just right up my alley. And I do have the man, the myth, the legend himself. I got Ron from Wicked Planet. The OG is up in the house. Ron, what is going on? Thank you again for co-hosting with me. It's always a good time to have you on.
Yeah, no, good to be here. I'm really interested to see what Brandon's got for information here. It looks kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I just sent a message out in the chats to ask everybody if it was sounding okay over there.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I didn't even think of doing that. All right, so now I guess enough about both of us. Brandon, let everybody know where they can find your stuff.
Sure thing. I'm on Instagram, Krollology101. Krollology, you could probably type it in. It's the only thing that pops up when I did a test run on that. So that's KROLLOLOG Y and then _101. And you'll be able to find my stuff. And I usually go into the occultic stuff from a spiritual perspective of where they're stemming from and what it comes from on a biblical interpretation of things.
Yes, and if the live is good right now, his links are in the bottom, as well as Ron's for the Wicked Planet and all of his links. They're all in the show notes now. And if not, if the live is not up, when this episode drops, they'll all be in there again. So definitely go check out their shows. If you do not know who they are, definitely check out their stuff. Highly suggested. And now I guess we'll get into the topic. Well, first off, what even made you come across? Is it like, did you see something and you're like, oh, crap? Or did you go?
For me, it's like I saw originally a photo of just some of the statuettes that are up there in Trump Tower penthouse. And for me, I've always been interested in like the etymology of MAGA, the word stemming from the root word for magazine, the Magi. January 6th, I think I mentioned before, that's the day that in Catholic tradition that Christ was baptized, and also the day the Magi came to visit him. So with the etymology and then the symbolism I was starting to see, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I've seen this star before. I've seen this eye symbol before. And I kept on digging, cross-referencing with articles. And I'm like, holy crap, you are going after a guy that would technically be a perfect candidate for Antichrist material, just from the stuff that I was finding, because all the symbolism is right there. He's, like I said, he's got 3 for sun god, and he's got 1 for a love god. And I did another podcast with another buddy, and I was explaining on how all these cultures, there's like a core origin story, and you just see how it changed gradually as it kept merging and crossing. And it became kind of like a deity telephone, where it's like, oh, that's the same equivalent as this guy. I was like, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to always explain to people. It's just different culture, different language, same guy at the end of the day, or same 3 people.
You said like 3 and then another one, right? So technically, I guess 4, correct?
4 that all go back to 1, but 3 that all connect to sun god particularly.
Again, this is a constant thing that I've seen coming up and stuff that I've covered with occultism and even true crime. A 1 and a 3 somehow. Either 13, or there's like 3 chicks and 1 dude, or 1 and the 3 others. It's just this 1 in 3. Even with Elon Musk, I've noticed certain things. And I'm like, something is up with that. I think because like now he's got 13 engines on his his little silly spacecraft. A lot of 1 in 3s. There's something up with that, I believe.
So it's not a coincidence. There we go.
No. I don't think so, my man. I think you're just finding stuff that is there.
I'm just finding stuff, and you're helping fill in the blanks with some of the stuff I didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, would you even say, Ron, wouldn't you even agree there's a lot of 13 or 1 in 3 stuff, even with like I think with the Idaho 4 and there's another case too. I can't remember. The Rex Human one. I mean.
Yeah, for sure. These numbers keep popping up, which is,
very weird.
Yeah, it's as you like to say, high strangeness.
Exactly. Best way to put it, Ron. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's stuff we need to pay attention to, though, because Possibly could all have meaning,
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the 369 thing, the same thing. A lot of that's popping up, right? Yes. And then of course the old faithful 33.
Oh, of course.
Up all the time.
I think that stuff pops up even when it's not even like on purpose. It's just like just happens so much now anyway.
Yeah, it's just stuff that we see because we're cognizant of it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. All right, Brandon. Sorry to interrupt you with that whole thing. But,
no, it's all good. It's all good. Can they see my screen? The screen of what I got up here right now?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we had to stop going live. The audio wasn't there, so unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is Tammuz, Nimrod's son. And Tammuz, so basically you have Semiramis, which is his wife, aka mom, in the Bible for prior to the Tower of Babel. And in order to be a middle finger to God, they conceived a kid, and his name was Tammuz. He's got a couple other variation in names, but I'll be explaining as we go along. A reason why he would probably be, quote unquote, the devil's favorite would be because he's the first product of an incestuous marriage.
Ooh.
So the fact, I have a hunch that he could be a very antichrist-like figure that's brought back via CERN, because Cernunnos is the Celtic god of the underworld. Osiris is the Celtic god of the underworld. The part that I read to you from the Masonic book, you become a widow's son with Hiram, and it's the same thing in the Egyptian rite ritual with Osiris. So that connects to this guy. Hiram, I think, was the equivalent for Tammuz. The Christmas tree stuff comes from him. Let's see. So you got the Trump Gulf insignia, which again, 2 eagle heads. We all know that little Masonic sign.
Yeah, I mean, that one to the right there with the 2 pillars in the eye. I mean, come on, in the chariot.
Yes.
I mean, that's
I'm going to be dissecting
me,
every single part of what that means.
All right, sorry.
But yeah, that's his logo. Back that up.
I'm not seeing the screen share on my
Or not.
Oh, I see it on my end. Yeah, that's so weird.
Well,
which is odd because he's the one hosting it.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. That's so weird.
Yeah, that's it's all good. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I'm gonna keep on going then. So yeah, that's his insignia. He's got this thing down in Mar-a-Lago as well. It's also got the Masonic little sign right there. Coat of arms used by Trump at his golf properties in the U.S. is ripped off from the British husband and socialite built from Mar-a-Lago.
If you don't mind, can you just go back to the last picture too? I'm sorry.
Sure thing.
Yeah. I mean, the double-headed eagles is there, and I think that's just, besides, I mean, the Freemasonic symbol, but still, I mean, it's, yeah.
I'm sorry, folks, but if you understand anything in masonry, that's like a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Dead giveaway.
Sorry. Continue.
Just let me know when you're good. I can keep on going.
Yeah, you can go.
Okay. So yeah, that's the Mar-a-Lago. Just give a little more clarification for folks. You can find that on Daily Mail. And not a trident, but he's got that little hand coming out from the water, which is very interesting because one of the things in Freemasonry is that they want to restore the rule of the 10 kings from Atlantis. So the fact that he's got a little hand emerging from below the water, it's kind of interesting that he should have that.
It's even like almost like an archer too. He's got like the arrow in his hand.
Yep.
One thing I think is very interesting about that seal, that crest, that looks very much like Rice College's crest. And Rice College, Bigelow, who used to own Skinwalker Ranch, used a bunch of people from Rice and brought them over, was helping with his studies there. And they're also huge on graphene, that college, with studying graphene. Interesting stuff.
Interesting. Yeah. And Bob Bigelow is from Bigelow Aerospace.
Yes, yeah. Yo, for 52, this is crazy. I think it's 52 or 55 or something like that. You can buy from him. And it's like, how are you getting there? You can buy from him a craft that, powered by Elon Musk's rocket, will take you to Mars and you can stay there for 90 days.
Really?
Who's buying these things? Are you even really going to Mars? Is somebody paying $52 million to go sit in a fucking room and you're popping on screens and making them think they went somewhere? Like that Black Mirror episode. I don't believe you're really going to Mars. So, I mean, who the fuck's paying that amount of money? And where are you really going?
It's crazy.
I mean, we're talking about
how
we got this guy. They're making it seem like we can't get past the moon yet, but yet Bigelow's got shit to. Oh, we'll take you to Mars if you got the money. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but they got that down to a science with MK. They just put you in a room. Oh yeah, I was at Mars. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, when I was covering them on Skinwalker Ranch, I think I showed that stuff. I was like, yo, you can buy. And I was like, of course, powered by
a little bit more
Elon Musk.
Example. I'm gonna put that up for a second just so people can read it.
Yeah, double-headed eagle, Scottish Rite Masonry.
Yep. And again, for context, for people who do not know, the Knights Templar were wiped out. I think it was 13-something, 32, 30-something, for starting to worship Baphomet. Basically, they found King Solomon's ring, and that's the Star of David that we see today. They started worshiping that and seeing that it had a power over evil entities. And so therefore they started like, okay, we don't need Jesus anymore. We don't need the cross. We can just start spitting on it. And they're like, okay, you're starting to defy us. So in history, what you get is, they were all wiped out. Contraire, they went underground and formed the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. History books don't teach us that.
My friend Mark, he's been on the show a long time ago. He's a listener since like almost day one. He is like a Mason, but I don't know, he's really not too active. And he was telling me, and he says it all the time, like even in lives, if we happen to be talking about Masonry, he's very adamant how the Scottish Rite is the one that's a lot more serious with doing like a lot of shit. Like he's constantly stressing that because he says he doesn't think people truly understand like how deep they got their clothes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
they're the Vatican equivalent for all the little Hydra branches.
Brandon, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
All right, so the theory is that the Templars, because as we know the story, why the Pope ordered all the Templars to be rounded up and executed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the Templars discovered something in the temple at Jerusalem.
Yes.
That they were going to be able to use against the church.
Mm-hmm.
The church could, under no circumstances, allow this information to get out. And this is why they rounded them up, which is why, to this day, everybody associates Friday the 13th as a bad luck day, because that was on a Friday the 13th. So what you're saying...
Again,
1 in 3.
They discovered Baphomet's ring. Now, does that play into the other theory that we are now living in the reign of Satan, and that Jesus's 1,000-year reign has already come and gone, and now we're in the time of Satan reigning the world? Or
he's definitely already been reigning. The Bible states that he's the king of this world, or the prince of this domain. Basically, I'll be explaining as we get to slides, because then I'll have a visual representation of how you see it in our everyday culture. But basically, the significance of 33 in Freemasonry is that connects to the fallen angels. And a lot of pastors and teachers in any denomination you go to, they don't talk about this. That's why they don't like it when I talk about this particular topic, because they're over here like, well, that's not what we learned in divinity school. Genesis 6:4 states that the sons of God came down and had affairs with the daughters of men. This connects to the Anunnaki. This connects to the book of Enoch. This connects to alien Sumerian gods that came down originally, and they taught man the 6 sacred sciences. So why we have the hexagram star on the star of Israel is supposed to represent the 6 elements. That's what's so sacred about it. But the thing is, where they were cast down was Mount Hermon. Its coordinates is 33. Today, the UN's tallest base is resting atop of it, with the Star of Chaos resting in front as a plaque. Wow. So they know very well that there are 33 levels of, we get to achieve godhood. That's basically in Freemasonry they get to go on Orion's belt. They get a star in the pantheon in the afterlife. That is what they're ultimately believing, is that they will achieve God status without God, because we already know all the secrets. At the end of the day, that's what they're believing. And that's why you have the Oscars, the Ptah, that comes from the Egyptian Ptah, where they had a little statuette, a Ptah of creation. So you're basically creating your own image of becoming a god yourself. Or like Osiris is another name for Nimrod. When he died, he became god of the underworld.
Utah is named after Ptah, but it wasn't spelled the same.
Same thing. I was just watching something with Joseph Smith prior to this, and I was laughing. I was like, oh boy, you are so part of the cabal with Freemasonry, dude.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. So I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
Yeah,
okay.
I always when my co-host Anonymous Sean is on, we discuss whether or not we are still in the reign of Christ or if we're in the reign of Satan right now.
Definitely during the reign of Satan. That is definite. There is a counterfeit Christianity. That's what the Catholic Church is promoting. And I do have slides that will visually represent that. And I'll give more tutorial if you have any more questions on that. It's a little bit later on. Again, this is a little bit more in depth for people who are unaware of the significance of the double eagle heads. And key part right here is the 17th degree in Freemasonry is the knight from east to west. That has something to do with the plaque that we saw. And again, I'll be zooming in per part that's going to be emphasized. East to west is very significant. That's also a very biblical term. You'll see that a lot of times when wars were going on, it's talking about from east to west, east to west. A lot of times when people attack, let's say historically speaking, like Napoleon or Adolf, when they attacked from the opposite direction, they weren't attacking from east to west, they were attacking west to east. And a lot of times, historically speaking, except for exceptions of like Alexander the Great and a few others, it went wrong. So there's something significant with that biblically.
You know, really interesting if you just leave that up for a second. With the stuff down at the bottom on those like
the jewel.
Yeah, well, the thing. It looks like scales, maybe on the.
I'm not sure. That's close as I can get it without losing it.
And even like the crossing it like that. When I did the eyeballs, the eye series, we were like showing the reflection like in your eyeballs and stuff. And I think I even showed it on tarot and even in the tarot series that I just did with Megan and Mario recently. I think I mentioned it when we covered that card, Justice. Those scales very much look like exactly how light enters your eyes as well. The way it reflects like to your lens, and then your lens reflects it back as above, so below, actually, on your lens. And I have questioned if the sun or to the east, if that element might more be like the light that's entering our eyes, and then, you know, going west, now you'd be completely opposite. Like I'm just going by, drawing the pentagram, and with rituals you have east, all that stuff. I mean, that is kind of like going all the way back. In my opinion, I could see how the Knights of East and West, if there is eyeball stuff included in occultism and included with magic, it would make sense that like 17 and the Knights of East and West would mean like someone being able to do both. Like they know of magic already. You know what I'm saying? They're in control of their eyes and what light they're perceiving. You know,
which again taps into the Magi and Tammuz. I don't want to give any spoilers because you're already tapping into that, but that's actually very good because I did not even know that.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's Tammuz, like a little bit out there.
Symbolism is vision,
shit,
eyes, the pineal gland right here. So the fact that you mentioned that, I'm like, oh God, you just gave me another thing that just goes to this.
That's wild. That's great. Awesome.
That's why I love cross collaborating with people.
Yeah, of course.
Learn more when you do so.
Exactly. That's why I'd rather prefer to do shows with 3 people in that one, because I think you just, you get more perspectives and it's just a better show. Yeah.
Brandon, let me ask you something real quick. I'm not seeing your screen sharing. Do you have an option on your end?
I have stop share. Share sound.
Yeah, that's just bizarre. I might be having a glitch on my Zoom on my end. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any, excuse me. I'm not seeing any other options except for stop share.
Okay.
That's really a bummer that you can't see that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll get it. I'll get
Is
it.
there a way you could open up another link, turn off the sound so you can still see it live?
I'm not sure because of all the difficulties we had getting going. I think I'm just going to leave it right alone.
Okay. Okay. Well, maybe maybe your phone.
No,
Just
no,
tilt it
no.
up against the screen. No. Okay.
I'm in my actual studio. So.
Oh. Okay. So what we got here now is the plaque. This is between Trump's penthouse. So when you go to the right, you have Eros and Psyche statuette and a few other things that I will be showing on the screen. I guess you're gonna have to watch a replay. I feel really bad. But when you go left, you get a piano on the far right. You get on the left a door archway, and this is what is painted on top of it. You have a guy riding a chariot, which I believe is my next slide. Yeah, Helios. This is in Trump's Tower penthouse. I believe I've seen a video as well where this same image is in a Masonic lodge.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
So Helios in Greek is the sun god, sometimes called the Titan. He drove daily from east to west across the sky and sailed around the northerly stream of the ocean each night in a huge cup. His worship spread as he became increasingly identified with other deities, often under Eastern influences. And you'll notice that his crown is just like the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
He's also a dual cross-dresser. Very interesting little trivia about that, because that's the Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty associated with the Princess of Darkness.
It has several connotations, but it connects. It all connects back to the same family and the same crown of being spiked. That goes back to Emperor Constantine as well. What a lot of people don't know, and a lot of Catholics always get mad at me when I bring this up, but it's true, is that Sol Invictus, which is December 25th, Sunday worship, or during the winter solstice, is where they're having some kind of thing, where the sun's going shorter, days longer, and all that sort of thing. And he merged that with Christ. So we get sun god and son of God merged into one. Mm-hmm. And Constantine saw himself as God's, like the Pope. I'm God's representative while he's gone. So I'll build the statuettes of all the apostles, and then I'll be Christ representing in the physical form. And he built a crown that had spikes on it like Helios. So a little trivia for you there. That's where we get Sunday worship from. And biblically speaking, the Sabbath is on Saturday.
Right.
And then heliocentrism, where we get our globe Earth from, comes from Helios. Again, a couple of images for cross-reference and comparison. A couple of different cultures. And then Lucifer, or in the play by Mario, I can't read the top part because it's blocked up by the thing, Rapacito or something. I can't read the top. Rapasardi. He also is wearing the spiked crown.
Yeah, it looks like Rapasardi.
Rapasardi?
Yeah, I think you said that right. Yeah.
I can only see like a squiggle in the bottom of my screen.
Yeah, Rapasardi.
Rapasardi. So I think that's a play or a book. I'm thinking it's a play because it looks like a flyer or like the plays program.
Yes.
It was said Helios, horse-drawn chariot, again, sky from east to west. So I'm not just taking one article out of bias. This is another article confirming what I'm saying. This magical chariot pulled the sun behind him and let the sunlight shine down on the earth. Each night he rode back from west to east in a golden cup, just to start again in the morning. So again, good morning, probably affiliated with him. Every day he rises, every day he goes away. They have a whole death cult ritual with that sort of stuff too. And then again, emphasis just clarifying for some folk, Helios, sun god, rode from east to west. Now let's see, is there any articles on Trump implying from east to west? Because he's got it up in his tower. Is there anything that might imply that in the news? Well, in BizBash, East meets West for the second stop in a worldwide tour celebrating the launch of Trump International Hotel and Tower in Dubai. Donald Trump is the real estate developer of Nakheel, channeled the new property as well in the Middle East. And this was posted in 2008. So like 8 years before he even, ran for president.
Nice.
Then we have the Sun Centennial. East meets West at first, 100,000 Trump Invitational. And again, that was published in 2013, month of January. We get another one. I think it's the Times of Israel. I can't see the top.
Times of Israel. Great.
I think it was.
It's the Times of Israel, yeah.
Is it? Okay. Flying in from east to west, walking up on the Western Wall. Trump's first day in photos. Published in May 2017. And something significant about that wall is that is not the old Temple of Solomon. That is actually an old fort that was there during Jesus's time by a Roman garrison. So when they're going over there and kissing the wall to pay their respects, it's like, I don't know what you're exactly paying respects to, because that has nothing to do with the temple. And buildings are irrelevant in Christianity. They should be, because they stem from the pagan practice of we're going to build a temple over the burial spot of our dead heroes. Catholicism is like, well, we want to get more converts, so why don't we just build temples and call them saints instead? And same thing, So, and why do they do that? So they can consult the spirits of the ones that are gone before. And you're not supposed to do that, because in Deuteronomy, God's like, don't do that. And I have a theory that what Nimrod was doing, because when you look up John D, he has the hexagram, or the Star of Israel, and then in the center, it's pentagram. And in the center of that, it looks like an eye and a cross. Eye and a cross connect to Horus, Tammuz, that kind of symbolism. The pentagram, that connects to his wife. And then you have the Star of David. So it's like a conjuring board, or the Ouija of all Ouija boards you're ever going to get.
Yeah, you got a bunch of things going on.
Yes, and if this goes back with him trying to do this Enochian magic, where you consult the spirits of fallen angels and stuff like that, how are you going to do that? Nimrod, in the Book of Giants, they're saying, oh, we're going to have to put our faith in Gilgamesh because we're going to die when the flood happens. But how do they know? Gilgamesh is another name for Nimrod, and Gilgamesh means archer, which is going to be important. Remember, put a thumb on that.
Yeah, remember I even said something about an archer before with the arrow. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
holding the hand with the arrow. Yeah,
we're good. I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's gonna be good when you see what I'm connect this to. You're gonna be like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's got a fucking arrow in his hand. I mean, what else is he doing with it?
But they said their faith is gonna be.
That's another thing. That's another thing too. Not to get too out there, but like we have the cones in our eyes again that deal with color. Yes. And there's these little things in them that look like an arrow or a fish hook. These little things.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it almost looks like a rod with like a little thing that comes out that literally looks like almost a fish hook or an arrow.
Rod, Nimrod. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of connections right there.
Yeah, man. It's all my eyeball series. Because I was even saying, is that the fucking archer sometimes that we're seeing on like an occult symbolism that's inside our eyeballs? Very weird.
That is, I'm gonna reshare that on my Instagram. I'm gonna record this snippet. That is awesome. Oh, that is awesome, dude. But yeah, in the Book of Giants, it says, in fact, we're going to have to put our hope in Gilgamesh. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, he survived the flood. But how is that possible if everybody died in the flood and Gilgamesh came centuries later? So what I'm going to pitch...
Real quick, west would be water in magic.
West would be water?
Yeah. Because I'd have air, fire, water, and earth. And I'm facing east when I do my ritual. So it's air and water. Survived the flood.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So what I'm going to pitch is that they built some kind of time portal, and they went back in time, and he was building this little Tower of Babel to have war against heaven. And where was he getting the consultation from? Down below. And that's what the UN is ultimately trying to do, is bring all the religions back together. What's the Vatican doing? Oh, we're all one giant family. We can become one multi-religional, entity and keep going on with this. Another article, Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un, Singapore summit, East meets West at lunch. Here's the menu. I don't even know why we had to write that one. Article was published on June 12th, 2018. I think there's one more. Yep. New chapter emerging as East meets West again.
I like this one. You're missing out, Ron. It's got them kissing almost.
I'm working on getting the screen sharing so I can see it on my end.
It's so weird.
I feel so bad.
I'm technically a guest and I can see it. It's so weird.
Yeah, the guest can see it, but the host can't. That's the oddity of this. Yeah. Another article. Sorry, I didn't know I had this many. East meets West on lunch platter of a historic Trump Kim Singapore meet. That one's on the Business Standard. That was published on June 12th, 2018. Now we have the two pillars of Freemasonry. And we have it on the Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia. The eyes and the top. We got 3 candles for their little entry of a lodge. Mm. And where do we see this 2 pillars again? Our Social Security. Mm. That's going to be playing out. Note the eagle, aka or falcon. It could be interpreted either way with the Egyptian one that I'm going to be showing in a second, which is another version of Tammuz, Horus, several of his variants. 2 wings is also significant. And then this one, as is zoomed in, what's right above those 2 pillars is the all-seeing eye. Now, to give people some context, you see that all the time on our lovely dollar bill. If people didn't know what it represents, you're going to by the end of this show. So that could be the eye of Osiris, the eye of Horus. When people are saying, oh, no, it means this guy, oh, no, it means that guy. Well, to basically dumb it down in an explanational form, when Nimrod was alive with sun god worship, he was known as Re or Ra. I did a post on this couple months back on how the 2 letters in the center of an Oreo emphasizes pointing at R-E. Then the 2 O's, you take them underneath, it forms the serpent, the eternal serpent.
I think I saw
And again,
that.
Ra is very Masonic cookie, and it's bioengineered. So,
I had Oreos pop up a whole bunch, like Oreo for things, and I started questioning that. And then, like, there was, again, going even back to Elon Musk's rocket, when he mentioned the 13 engines, it looks just like an Oreo, too, with the designs around it in the middle. And, like, I have, like, Oreo stuff that actually for an Elon Musk episode. It's so weird.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
Yeah,
that
it was like, yo, I got to include this because this is just weird. And like the Oreo people have pointed at, like, is very like sus anyway with like the designs on there.
Well, even the cross above it, that goes back to the Knights Templar again.
Yeah,
it's like, well, no, it's not Masonic.
Very
you
weird.
See it on their little crests,
and then
historically.
And then, like, this is the whole thing too. I had even like kind of like cracked on it or a joke, like when I was doing the eyeball symbolism and stuff. I said if the eyeball shit really has something to do with it, it's interesting how at Oreo they always show you screwing the thing off because your pupil screws closed. And the Oreo is black and white, just like your eyeball, the pupil and the sclera. And I was like, yo, is this actual fucking
force.
Is this actual eyeball symbolism in a fucking cookie as well? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got to tag you on the next time I repost it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, your pupil pulls out in 4 directions, which I wonder about the cross in that sense.
Right.
But then when it closes, it screws.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's back out for a second. So we're continuing.
Yep.
So again, Eye of Horus, Eye of Osiris. As I said, Ra during life, that was Nimrod. When he died, he rose to a different name, and that was Osiris. Cernunnos, where we get CERN from. And again, my theory that I'm going to be pitching towards the end, it'll make a lot of sense because it's like when you have the thing that I read from the Masonic Lodge is that this is your death to yourself. You rise again. It's like a parody of what's in the Christian faith, but it's like a evil version. Then there's the righteous version. Of course, these people love their symbolism with that kind of stuff too. What is a Horus bird? And a little, for context, for some people who don't want to look it up right now, the god Horus represented as a falcon. or a human with a falcon head, was a sun god as well as an ancient Egyptian god of kingship, representing the living king of Egypt. Falcons, along with other birds, could have easily been seen by everyone in ancient Egypt. Again, what people, I looked up an article as well that people are saying, well, why are Horus and Ra, how are they both sun gods? Eventually, at a certain point, the two merged, which again, that connects to the reincarnation thing. Semiramis, the wife, after Nimrod was slain, claimed that he came back in the form of a Christmas tree or whatever, from the roots of a dead tree stump, and he impregnated me with his seed. Therefore, the kid that I give birth to is going to be my former husband's son, reborn. That's why they have those little phalluses, the Washington Monument, the thing in the Vatican. That's what that represents. That's a phallic symbol of rising again. Nimrod tree, the star on top is representing it ejaculating.
Well, see, this even, I mean, a little bit different, but I did even cover again that I think the zonules of Zin, which is the thing that actually moves your lens. They look like trees. They almost look like lavender. They look like wooden sticks. I was even saying I think that's like the rod that the hermit holds in his hand. But they do very much look like, in some pictures when they add color to it, I'm sure it's not what's really there. But in some like medical pictures, it almost looks like little trees with snow on them. It's very weird. So like again, like you're going back to this, like I see what you're talking about and stuff that I just covered recently. They all have to do with the eyes, and you said this guy's associated with sight. So
yes,
very, very
or
weird.
vision,
Vision,
Kundalini chakra, how you think of yourself, reaching enlightenment. That's basically what they're teaching in Freemasonry. So people saying like, oh yeah, I don't believe in that, but I can reach enlightenment or divine, whatever. It's like that's their ultimate thing in Kabbalah and Masonry, is that you reach divine man or God status without God. Ultimately is what at the end of the day they're teaching. For context, people have seen these two visuals before. 6,000 years ago, you got the Horus, you got the two Ankhs being held at the base. You have an olive branch and 13 arrows being held in the eagles.
Which they always explain off that the 13 arrows represented the 13 original colonies. Yeah.
Yeah.
you get them 1 in 3.
So they say.
Arrows.
Yeah. And I think, what was it? Like,
Very
of the 40-something signers, 37, 38 of them were Masons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I can't buy your story anymore. Nothing new under the sun. Again, see it everywhere, but back then, this is there, this is it.
I like that.
Actually, fun fact, officer comes from the root word overseer.
Okay.
I was like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's interesting. Overseeing, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Again, this is something I've always been trying to explain to people. I'm like, yes, Christ is good, but Catholicism bastardized it and replaced it with Nimrod's son Tammuz. As you can see with the halo, not biblical. Christ is depicted after the Port Bourget family. That's who painted him. I think that was in 14-something. Horus, Ra, equivalent, sun god of Egypt, another name for Nimrod's son, Tammuz. So again, when they're giving us, again, what's he doing? The Baphomet thing? And I'm going to be showing how Baphomet is another form of this sun god. So I'm not sure if you guys can make that out, but that's a pentagram star underneath all this fire and between the two pillars. Can you see it?
I can, yeah, I can tell that there's something there. There's definitely a star.
Tell you, it's got the 5 points, or the two of them, the ones on the bottom are a little bit hidden by the flames. You can still kind of tell.
Yeah, I can.
The pentagram has been used as a symbol in many different things throughout history. In ancient Babylon, again, Babel, the pentagram was used as a symbol for 5 planets visible to the naked eye. Eye again. The Greeks used the pentagram to represent the 5 elements of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Christianity, the pentagram was used to represent the 5 wounds of Christ. Again, parody. It's always parody. And again, in the Bible, Ashtaroth is another variation of Semiramis. When, all the languages were confused, the lore still remained. She became known as Queen of the Heavens. You look up Semiramis, Queen of the Heavens. You look up Isis, Queen of the Heavens. You look up the Virgin Mary, 1954, Queen of the Heavens. A lot of Catholics get mad at me on that one too, but I'm like, it's right there. They're not even hiding here. Their words, not mine.
Yeah, right.
But that was the goddess that King Solomon, again, with the ring, that's the goddess that he fell after with his 400 wives, was Queen Ashtaroth. In the Witch Coven website, they accredit Ashtaroth as the origins of the pentagram. So that's Nimrod's wife. She's accredited with the origins of witchcraft. And again, Sigil of Ashtaroth, you want to buy this on Amazon, you can. Solomon, 72 Demon. I'm not making it up. You literally can go and purchase the shirt. I hope you don't, but just giving you some visual.
That actually is a demon too that I think is in the Goetia, and if I remember correctly, I covered this with Twin Peaks. There was an episode in season 2 where that sigil is like hanging up on a chalkboard or the wall in the background.
I have a question. What is the significance, Brandon, of the 72? Because in Islam, when they're martyred, they get 72 virgins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just interesting connection there.
Yeah, numerically, I do not know, but I do know if you want to watch a lecture, Did Catholicism Create Islam? By Dr. Walter Veith, and he gives a compare-contrast. You always see a Catholic church and a mosque, always in syncrecy with each other across every culture. You look up the burqa and the original nuns, dressed exactly alike. In Islam, you have the beads that you pray on. They have the rosary beads. And there was a Jesuit priest that came forward and even admitted, yes, we founded this by giving, Muhammad, one of his wives was a former nun. And she was the one that helped create this whole, Muslim faith. When you look up a video I just posted recently on a rabbi, he called, this is his words, not mine, so I don't want to hear anything about this. He called Islam the broom of Israel.
Oh, man.
Send them in, sweep it up, we come in and take over. It's kind of like I was giving the analogy with the Buffalo Soldiers. Indian gets killed, black guy gets killed. End of the day, white man gets the land. Same premise and mentality with what's going on in their Talmudic doctrines. That's why I always emphasize, I'm not anti this, I'm anti-Talmud. If you read the Talmud or you watch The Other Israel by Ted Pike, you'd be like, wait, Gentile genocide is okay? Yeah. Child brides are okay, and raping a little girl that's like 3 or 6-year-old brides are okay? Yes. I'm not sure I like this book. And again, as long as you make the choice, we are absolved of anything. You made that decision on your own. That's literally in their doctrine and core. That's why they say Christ is now boiling in excrement in a hot pit, and you should be treating them with all the respect and love and dignity. That it's like, okay.
Wow.
And this could be why the Satanists are okay with the whole pedophilia thing, and why it's so rampant, right?
Correct. It's and multi or dual genders that connects. That's in the Talmud as well. 8 of them. I saw a really cringe video of a lady singing all of them, and I was over here. Okay,
8 of them.
You sound like you're a little off your rocker.
You said there was 8 of them.
8.
That's really interesting because, like, when it comes to Kabbalah, the hermaphrodites falls on the 8th sphere.
There you go. That's probably where it stemmed from. Yeah. At least the wise they preserved a lot of it.
That's weird.
And again, Babylonian Talmud. Babel, again. So again, symbolism, eyes, Tammuz. His symbol is the eyes. Tammuz is another one of those months, I believe it's June, with no holidays except the minor fast and no real practices associated with it, at least not any found. This makes a lot of sense when you think of the Jewish wheel of the year in relationship to the agrarian cycles. Summer months are when there is too much work to be done in the field, sowing, tilling, planting, and harvesting. Even though there isn't a specific practice that we associate with Tammuz, the month, but it's named after him, there is a theme. It's vision and eyesight. Tammuz is a month that challenges us to really see what's in front of us and focus. If vision is the theme, the eyes are the symbol. There's another photo when you might have seen this actually with some of your stuff with the pine cone guy holding the thing right around. That connects to Tammuz. That's Tammuz's another version of him. And again, that connects to Valentine's Day as well, because originally instead of hearts, it was pine cones that people would exchange with each other.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that does connect. You're going to be like, whoa, I'm going to be showing how that connects to this guy. So.
In Twin Peaks season 3, every time they introduce the band at the end on the microphone, and the end of the microphone, there's a pine cone stuck at it, on it.
Oh, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Note the pentagram that's located on the pineal gland of a certain figure that I think we all know. Again, I'm going to be having another visual explaining a little bit more of that. But again, vision, eyesight, your third eye, how you see yourself, enlightenment, whatever you want to use the phrase as. And again, you're putting a magic symbol on the temple of your mind. MK Ultra, Control, that's just something to put and affiliate with that. Also, I have connected that Krampus connects to Baphomet. The god Pan connects to Baphomet. That's where we get pandemic, pandemonium, so keep adding any version you want to that. That's where it comes from, the goat god. And that's going to connect to Nimrod's son as well.
I've always thought about that. Like, do they even have any idea of where that name is even coming from?
Baphomet?
No, like Pan, other things. It's just like, when the word Pan is in front of it, like, don't you, I guess not everybody knows of Pan, but like, I don't know.
We don't know most of our etymology, but when you start looking into it, you're like human, I think, is a translation for monster. I was like, whoa, that's not nice.
I think somebody
citizen
mentioned that on my show once, actually.
Yeah. I think citizen is another name for serf, if I remember correctly. I'm like, well, that's not nice. Like you're putting in something that we say every day, like you're weak, the day of the week, you're weak. Good morning, all this stuff I think we talked about before, but it's phrases that are constantly putting you down. It's subconsciously just letting you know that, you're not that significant. You're not this, you just don't get that, excited. Weeping for Tammuz. This is for people who are of the biblical thing and they're saying the Tammuz is not in the Bible, so you can't be making these claims. Weeping for Tammuz is spoken of as an ancient ritual of the Sumerian origin, counterpart of Sumerian Dumazai, the fertility god associated with shepherding in vegetation. The weeping is to commemorate the death of a seasonal fertility, and the cult stresses for the mourning aspect of it. In the Bible, this particular passage is referring to the people weeping to the east, which is related to sun god worship, east to west. Note that he is the god of shepherding. When you look up a little bit more into Dumazai, you will find that he is the god of goat shepherds. Yes, and I was over here. Again, there's another variation as well, but if you want to get into the bread aspect, every time you crush bread or grind bread, in their culture, that was the death of Tammuz, and then he would rise again via when the bread was leavened. You have the same thing with the communion. This is my body. This is my blood, blah, 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 blah. You see a parody again taking place. So Christ is literally saying everything that's going on in their cultures, I'm giving a righteous variation of it. It's spiritual warfare going, ha, ha, ha. See what I just did? Did you see that? In Matthew, it states that he's going to separate the sheep from the goats. Very odd that he is the god of goats, Nimrod's son. Now you'll see a little bit something significant that we see on our ambulances everywhere we go, especially of 2020. You see it resting right here in Mr. Baphomet's lap. And then you see it right here in Tammuz's hand. And he's got the little wings, so that's another little thing to connect. And then we see it here. The Pope's got it. The UN's got it. The medical symbols got it. and the dollar sign. So you have to look now etymology and anthropology with where does this thing stem from? This is not just symbolism that pops up out of nowhere. They have historical mythologies that they follow. Again, a lot of these myths are not myths. They have an origin story. They just have been embellished and grown out of something that had a core origin story.
You know, I had a Headless Giant on not too long ago, and he did talk about like how there's differences between the one snake and the two snakes. And then I had even recently mentioned in I think it was a tarot episode recently that I did. Again, not to go back to the eyeball thing again, but on the back of your eye, by the ora serrata, kind of like past your pupil and the lens, there is the hyaloid canal that then goes up and connects your optic nerve and shit. That does move, like I said, like a plunger. And when it's down one way, it looks straight. And then when you pull it up a little bit, because now you're changing the pupil, it bends like an S, just like an S. And I was like, you basically, if you take each eyeball, you get IS, ISIS.
Oh my.
Or you could even get the dollar sign out of that.
Yes. And again, that would connect to this family because
you gotta get that money
for his mom. Dang.
Very weird.
In this picture, Brandon, what is the significance of the dog?
I'm not quite sure with the dog. I was going to explain though who this guy is significant in their Masonic stuff. I'm reading a book, The Genesis 6 Conspiracy with Gary Wayne, and Thoth is the guy that preserved or he translated these tablets. I'm not sure if this connects to the Emerald tablets perchance because the significance of where they were found. So I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. Evil Enoch in the Bible, this is Cain's descendant, was recording what all the wicked angels were teaching them, which is, how to have abortions with certain root plants, how to make weapons for, killing people. And Thoth recorded this all pre-flood saying, I kind of want some people to still have knowledge of this and how to use it in this particular way. So I'm going to write this all down and bury it in a vault, which is supposed to be the pyramids. I was like, well, that's interesting because it says that there's 3 Enochs, or there's the tri-hermetic or whatever. And in their version, they've merged Enoch, who was good and walked with God in the book of Enoch, and evil Enoch, who preserved all this evil stuff. They've merged it to make it sound like, oh yeah, this is justifiable, and it's not. Good Enoch was recording like a conversation with God and how the angels were punished, and because Enoch had such a walk with God, he was brought up to heaven without having to face death like any other man. And he also was a petitioner for what the fallen angels did. Evil Enoch buried his stuff, left it there, and it says that the second Enoch, or Thoth, found these tablets and translated them so that they could reinstitute this occult, their snake brotherhood. And what I'm theorizing, because it makes a lot of freaking sense, is that after Babel, Tammuz went down into Egypt and he found these tablets and translated them. He's known now as either Thoth, second Enoch, and or Hermes, which is just another version of him, and that's the Greek version of the same lore. So in Freemasonry, the sacred text that the angels taught, 33, where these tablets were buried, and the secrets of basically immortality that we keep from everybody else. Got to keep it secret because all of them are stupid, unless you're initiated through the Brotherhood or whatever. You don't get that knowledge, but this is where it stems from, is Nimrod's son. So it's very odd because it sounds like we're going on a rabbit trail, but this is again all stuff that connects to the all-seeing eye that's in Trump's tower.
In my opinion, from stuff that I have even recently covered, and especially getting into tarot, and even stuff to do with the eye series, in my opinion, I think the hero's journey, it's on the tree of life, and I think it starts at the 8th sphere and goes to the 6th, and then the 4th, and then the 2nd. But that's the hero's journey, and it starts off with Totha Tahuti, technically, in that sphere, right. Or it could be him as well. I do think a lot of gods that we actually see and know of all started off down there, but they are just a different part of the story when the character changes through the changes that it's gone through.
Yes.
So a lot of it, I think, is actually all the same character. It's just different names, different stages, different pantheons, different parts of the world explaining it differently. But I think Tahuti, Toth, or whatever is like very, very huge in occult symbolism and on the Masons, the OTO, the hero's journey. I think it all starts with him, actually.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I think he's going to be an Antichrist figure, because his life parallels in every freaking culture imaginable. Like, you see those symbols everywhere. You see the Star of David in several cultures.
Oh, well, in my opinion, if you go down the tree from where he is, then that's exactly what's happening. You're birthing an abomination.
Yep. And again, you see Tammuz on the bottom left. That is the Church of Satan abortion clinic. And again, if you're going by the child sacrificing and my theory for the Adrone stuff, I'm not going to finish that because I don't want to get taken down. But my theory on that is that you get apparently a youthful figure or face, complexion, call it what you will. My theory is that because of Baal or Moloch, which is other variations of Nimrod once he ascended or descended to become god of the underworld, is that in order to keep his mortality going, you have to sacrifice your child so that that can occur. And if you take a little bit of this blood of said child, blah, blah, blah. So go on with that. That's my theory of where that whole stuff comes from. I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail, but that's just what I'm pitching. Significance of that is that Abraham, when he was about to sacrifice his son Isaac on the altar, God was testing him because he's saying, I'm seeing all these other cultures doing this stupid crap. I want to see if I want to see if you would be willing to go to that extent. He doesn't. He provides a lamb as an alternative, but he was testing to see, I'm just curious if you would be willing to go after me like this pagan cult that arose to defy me. So there's a symbolism of that story as well. You look like you have a question, Ron.
No, I'm just... tons of questions, but...
ask away.
Yeah, but the whole thing, like with Abraham, is that was the big story of the Bible, right? And we know that Christianity, Islam, and Judaism all are called Abrahamic religions, right?
Yes.
And when God told him that he had to sacrifice his son, was that his firstborn son?
Only and first, correct.
Okay, because now you start seeing in a lot of these elite families where there's always the oldest son has some type of terrible accident.
Yes.
So that just brings into the possibility that a lot of these people probably are Satan worshipers, just call it Satan.
Yeah. Right.
And they have sacrificed their firstborn son to, go up to the next level, like what you're explaining.
Correct.
So that's very interesting. But why do you think God stopped Abraham during this test? Because according to the Bible, Abraham was very close to doing that, and then in exchange did sacrifice the lamb, which is where we get the term sacrificial lamb.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So I just find it's all very it's not only eye opening, but when you're really looking into all this stuff here and this symbolism, it really starts to make a lot more sense. Just like Tammuz was born on December 25th, in which the Christians have come out and determined that was, Jesus's birthday. When we know that if Jesus was an actual person, that he was born sometime in April, or
September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leads around the equinoxes, right?
Yes. So, and again, Lion, Judah, Leo. There was a lot of star symbolism that would have predicted it to been around September-ish.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Anything else, or do you want me to answer that question?
No. Continue on, Brandon. I'm just trying to take it all in.
Yes, the symbolism of all that is, again, he was saying, like, I'm going to be doing something that what you just saw. I'm going to be sending my own son in that place. Significance. Again, a lot of Christians aren't going to like that I talk like this version, but this makes a lot more sense to me instead of the Trinity and all that. Is that the sons of God came down and saw that they had affairs with the daughters of men. This is a fallen angel pantheon. Were they as good as God? No, they're not as good as creator God. And the thing is, he wants to be worshiped because he is creator God. You can't create anything out of nothing. That's impossible. But I can. And they're over here saying, well, I'm just as good as you. I mean, if we combine our powers, we're all just about as good as you. In fact, I see Cain's daughters down there. I'm going to go down there and make some kids of my own. I'm going to defile your seed. So they do. I mean, Genesis 6:4, and Enoch talks about what happens. After a bit, these giants started creating, their own little clans. They were, of course, wiping out man like crazy because they're growing up to be, sometimes 30 feet, sometimes 300 feet, according to one legend with Og, the biggest giant of them all. And they started cannibalizing. They started eating people. And God's like, all right, you know what? We're going to start throwing a flood down there because this is not what I had intended. And you fallen angels who are already locked up in Tartarus, which is underneath us, says, you guys, you're not going to see your kids. When they die, their spirits are going to be forever roaming the earth. And that's where we get our evil spirits from. So demon is a mistranslation. That's not a fallen angel. That is the fallen spirit of a giant. So when possession's happening and they have the strength of like 10 men, that's where that's stemming from. Why? Because they want their bodies back. They can't do that. They can't go to heaven because they're an abominable offspring. And they can't go below. So what are they going to do? What is AI trying to do? Infiltrate man. They want bodies. They want to come back. What's the Norse mythology say? They want revenge on mankind for what they did to them. So the angels basically came down and created this giant stuff. And again, you get the book of Joshua where they see the giants and they said, they're like 10 feet tall. How can we possibly take these guys on? And God's like, relax. I got it. I want you. This isn't manifest destiny. These are abominable offspring and I want them off my property. I want you guys to be the people that represent my image and my mentality of the rest of the people. What Abraham did, I'm going to sacrifice my own son. So fast forward to the New Testament. What's going on? Well, he's confronting demons all the time. And what do they say? You're a son of God. Not sons of the gods, son of God. How did they know that? Because they were sons of gods themselves, but they're not of creator God. The difference, what does Jesus do? God came down and said, Mary, I want you to have my kid. Are you willing to do that immaculately? Sure. Didn't rape her, didn't violate. It was consensual. What did they do? They came down and violated. Mm-hmm. It wasn't asked. It wasn't approved. They just did it on their own, and they created something horrible. He came down, created newness of life. So if that gives a little bit more context and clarity, a lot of Christians don't even know that, and I get chewed out for pitching that. Baphomet right here on the Pope's thing. You can see the little impression. Again, is another version of Tammuz. That would be the one that's parodying Christ constantly. And he's on the Pope's staff. Now, why is that? And why? Well, this does connect to Trump. I'm going to be going back to his building again. Again, you see the two eagles with the Orthodox Church visiting the Pope. And again, this is a church, but you see the eye symbol right here in the background. And then you see the eye symbol out front of the church. And this is the Catholic Church. So Masons and Catholics are flirting very heavily with this symbolism that has nothing to do with Christ. Even this little Pope hat right here, that, and again, oh God, he's got the little legs right underneath. That's what that's what the part of the compass was representing, is supposed to be representing doggy style. But again, I'm dead serious. That's what it represents. And then the not the G, what is it? The star above it is ejaculation. Or the eye, that's supposed to be the eye of the phallus, or AKA who, the son of the guy. But you see this little hat that he's wearing. That connects to...
Sorry to interrupt you. It's weird that you said the doggy style thing, because like when I do cover... because we already did the eyes, I'm covering the brain and the ears. When I do cover the brain, there's a thing in your brain that, no joke, not, just to be a perv, I'm not, like that.
No, yeah.
But honestly, it does look like all fours, someone on all fours bent over.
Again, these people know what they're doing.
I've even, I think, made a joke about it on, I think I said like Gotti style or doggy style. Something. I think I tweeted it once like a few months ago. I don't think anybody really caught it, but it really does look, it's weird. Even with like the legs coming out. It's
exactly
very weird.
But a lot of people don't see it. Even the cross, that connects to Tammuz. That goes back to Babylon, Assyria region. You can type that into Google if you wanted to. And for me, it was like watching the Chronicles of Narnia, where Aslan says the line, "Don't recite the dark magic to me," which I was there when it was written. What's the significance of being sacrificed on the enemy's altar? Christ is on the enemy's sigil. He rises again from that. Whoa. The guy that is supposed to be my Messiah, or the Satan's token, his guy, he's coming back to defy death. It's like, my guy's already dead, but I have like a whole legacy and all these cultures about him, and this guy freaking defeated it. Dang it. Again, you see the same thing with the Catholic Church and the Masonic Lodge over here. Scripted World posted this collage. The symbolism's all there. So again, east and west, moon and sun. They don't care how you get there as long as you're still deceived and you're a dummy. Just look at the symbols, look at the pretty pictures, don't ask the questions. Another thing with Baphomet, I found it very interesting. When I was watching the movie Expendables 2, you have, what's his face? Jean-Claude Van Damme pulls off his little leather jacket and points to the goat on his neck. And he says, the goat, the pet of Satan. Doesn't say it's Satan himself. It's the Baphomet little symbol right there. So question, who is your pet? Because according to lore, Tammuz, how he died was getting killed at the age of 40 by a wild boar. Yes, very similar to Game of Thrones. And why the Catholics have the 40 days of Lent and the T cross put on their head is to symbolize the 40 years of his life being cut short, Tammuz. And you're mourning him. Why do you have pork? Because he was killed by a wild boar. Yeah. Again, you're saying, oh, it's for Christ. No. It's like, no. It's his parody that you're worshiping. Space Force.
Oh, I like this one. I've seen this, yeah.
Yes, this one connects to Trump. That's the regular hat in the upper left. So you're going to gradually just keep turning it over until you start seeing it.
Now, like, quick question. Maybe both of you might know this. Was Elon Musk involved at all with Space Force? With the engines or anything?
Probably.
I'm sure he is.
I would bet on it from the stuff I've been reading.
I mean, the Defense Department is his biggest cash cow, right?
Yeah.
That's where
it's supposed to be a military branch, yeah.
That's where he makes all his money.
Oh, and another thing, too, real quick, I'm surprised I haven't said it already. Even around in the same part that I was talking about, the joking around with the doggy style look, there is a thing in your head that literally looks like, except without the horns, Baphomet's face. In your brain.
Really?
Yeah, it almost looks like an anteater or a Baphomet. It's very, very weird. I've used this as a few examples. If you've ever seen the movie The Fifth Element, the robots that are walking out in the beginning, that thing, even with the way the back of their suit, with the way the designs are, is exactly something in your brain. It looks exactly like that.
Where do you first see them in the movie?
Right,
Egypt.
It's very weird. Very weird.
Gosh.
I'll have to send you the pictures of that one after the show. You'll be able to go,
for sure.
Weren't they the ones that had the key that was able to unlock the secret panel?
They had they had the key. Yeah, that he had to get that out of, I think, the lady's stomach at some point or something like that.
Well, it's funny because the Catholic Church right now, you're not going to believe this. So in the wake of Project Bluebeam, the Catholic Church is rewriting the Bible, where they're going to say the ancient Sumerian gods, a.k.a. the Fallen Watchers, Anunnaki, whatever, they're the ones who impregnated Mary, and Christ was of alien DNA. And the guy who comes to intercede on all of this is going to be Christ returning and stopping all of the stuff from going down. And he's going to restore, quote unquote, what they're going to say, the age of Christ, which is going to be false. First 3.5 years, it's going to look nice. Next 3.5 years, your techno credit card zombies. You're going to be part of their little beast system, which, again, it says is going to be on your forehead and or your right hand. Chips, money things become part of the beast system.
Brandon, I always had this theory on Christ, that Christ was an alien hybrid. For some reason, I always thought that. I'm like, well, this explains why he can do all this stuff. He's an alien hybrid.
Son of God. But I mean, even when people are talking about the Anunnaki or the fallen angels, I'm like, technically they are alien. They're not from this earth. But they are, I would say, more spirit leaning as opposed to physical form from us. So alien to us in that translation, yes. Are they like alien as in they have the little bubble head things that we get? I don't think so. That's me.
Right.
That's me. But you see the fleur-de-lis thing on the center. I think you mentioned it. I'm not sure if you're going to edit out that part, but just to bring context again, it's right there on Baphomet's center. Again, this is Trump Tower. We were facing, I'm not sure what direction, but we were facing this way. Now, when you pan to the right, this is what we get as a plaque above a fireplace, and it's Apollo, led by the chariot by Aurora. And that's interesting because Apollo, definition in Greek, the Roman god of light, healing, music, poetry, prophecy, and manly beauty, the son of Leto and the brother of Artemis. Apollo also is another name for a sun god. He's affiliated with ravens, if you watch the other podcast that I did. And that's significant because Odin is affiliated with ravens. He also has the one eye. In Zechariah, it talks about beware the shepherd with the one eye, which is interesting. Another significance about Apollo is that his name is very similar to Apollyon, which is a Greek phrase in Revelation talking about a destroyer, a destruction of some place. It's mentioned in Pilgrim's Progress as well. High-ranking demon with huge wings. I think we could say Baphomet would fit that description. He appears in old paintings with huge wings, those like the wings of a bat. Son of perdition. I'm over here thinking, well, if Nimrod was the first guy to kind of give a middle finger to God, and you have the son of perdition, Apollo, Apollyon, just saying, it has a very interesting connotation that it could fit that description. CERN invented our internet, if you didn't know that, World Wide Web. 1971 or 74, one of those dates in there. Inter is a grave or like a tomb. I think in Canada you can find particularly that phrase. Somebody mentioned that with one of my followers. And net, consuming, drawing it all in. The X for Elon's Twitter and stuff like that, that connects to Osiris. And the X pose, that connects to Osiris as well. You can get a lot of abbreviations of Nimrod's name. You get IRS, you get ISIS, you get Siri. So when you're consulting Siri, hey, what's going on, Siri? It's all going back to Nimrod and Cernunnos. What are they doing over there? Some say, not exactly confirmed, but that they built it over a sun god worship place for Apollo and or a sun god equivalent over there. So what would you want to do if you're going to resurrect the spirit of Nimrod? Well, if you didn't know, when we went over to Iraq, the first things that we stormed were museums and tombs. And it says that they found Nimrod's DNA or body over there. So what would you want to be doing with that? Well, if you want to replicate your Messiah over here in the Cabal, you're going to try to bring him back, give him life again. This is Trump. Back out. Business office in New York. That's the Kabbalah Tree of Life. And he's doing the 666 Divine King. That's 1, 2, 3. In Revelation, the 666 is the number of the beast. And in Kabbalah, to summarize the end thing at the end of the day, because a lot of people are saying I'm wrong about this, but it teaches that the serpent from the abyss can only arise if one of two versions happen upon the earth. Is that all sin is purged and he can, emerge upon humanity, or it's so chaotic, order out of chaos, that he emerges to bring peace to the entire world. Now we're seeing all these symbols up there of Trump with 3 sun god things or 3 strikes against you. for that's connecting to Nimrod.
Yo, that hand symbol he's got up, I covered, and I'm going to cover it within the ears because we do have that in our ears too. But
yes,
again, and this even goes back to the same numbers I was saying before about Tahuti's, on my opinion, on the Tree of Life. When you are showing the hero's journey, it even matches the shit in your eyes with your pupil. When your pupil changes size, let's say it was dilated and now you're going to pin it. There'll be 3 different changes, 3 different screws, basically, of closing it, going from 8 to 6, 6 to 4, and 4 to 2 millimeters in size. That's exactly how your pupil will change. And it's just...
I love how you remembered that.
Yeah. And it's just, to me, sometimes I do think that even that might be showing you the screwing of the
cork.
pupil. Yeah. Yeah, that, and there we do have, again, that in our ears. So I do sometimes even question when they're throwing that up, is that like I'm just manipulating you through sight and sound?
Yes.
You know?
Similar,
MAGA.
Very similar to how a camera shutter works.
Yeah, right? Exactly, man. Yeah.
You know, he makes this hand gesture. When you watch Trump's speeches,
Does this a lot.
He's always doing this, right? He's always doing this symbol.
The next slide, yeah. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's the next one after this.
You know that politician George Santos that they've been talking about a lot lately? For lying, he's a Republican and he supposedly bullshitted all his stuff. You can see him at one point when I think they decided to talk to him wherever. I don't know, whatever. There's a picture you can see of him where he's standing there with his one hand up and his other hand is straight down, like hanging down, purposely making that symbol.
Yes.
You're not doing that by accident there. That is on purpose.
Bush did it too when he was visiting the Queen a couple of years back. It's like, I'm sorry, folks, but at a certain point, it's like, yes, I'm making a point because I'm talking about a thing in a lecture. I'm looking at my slide, But when you start keep doing this or you consistently do it and you have all this other symbolism affiliated with you, I'm sorry, folks, at a certain point, looks really bad. MAGA, highest priest position on the Church of Satan website.
Yeah, Temple of
Nigeria, dupe, fool. In all the Latin-based countries in Europe, mage, great illusionist. And that's what you picked as your slogan? Okay. Yeah, this is it. So in Kabbalah, Masonry, just to connect it to the Tree of Life and Freemasonry that we were pointing out, all the symbolism over there. One rabbi referred to Freemasonry as Judaism for the Gentile. And so when we're seeing all these symbolism, this is kind of like the connecting point. Kabbalistic sign of the Freemasons and the occult fraternities arising from the Rosicrucians. That's kind of like the granddaddy organization, that and the Scottish Rite. The pentagram's origins probably lie much earlier than that. With the earliest known examples appearing in Babylon relics. Its earlier usage in Kabbalistic magic shows through its meaning as a symbol of the 4 elements that are also play a major role in tarot, astrology, and occult forms of knowledge. Now, remember when I said Ashtaroth earlier? Astrology, Queen of the Heavens, Ashtaroth. Very interesting that her symbol is a pentagram. I think there's a verse in Jeremiah and or Isaiah where God says, "Don't be like the pagans that are, looking for signs and wonders in the stars and stuff like that. Don't be looking at all that stuff. That's not important." Again, that's Trump. Yes, the statue. This is the last part. Statue of Eros and Psyche. Again, he's got all this other stuff. You got the Trump coat of arms that we showed on the ring earlier. The Muhammad Ali tribute book, which Muhammad Ali was also part of the occult. I have pictures of him doing
Cyrus Rising.
Yeah, you get a couple other poses. Again, you got the Apollo thing in the background. So I'm not just making this up. This is a full visual view you get of the penthouse. Baron, again, very interesting that there's that book written of the last president and known as Baron Trump and all the symbolisms up here in his tower. And you have that book of the last president with Baron Trump. It is just like, okay. And coincidentally.
Brandon, you have the book, Baron Trump's Inner World Adventure or something like that.
Is that written in the 1800s, 1900s, remember?
It's the same author who did The Last President.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So
what did it entail? Did you I've only heard of the book title. I haven't actually looked into reading it.
I have the audiobook.
Okay.
And it chronicles his going into Inner Earth. And the last president is a different story.
Going from east to west.
Yeah. You're prepping the way for your kid who's probably going to be here.
It's bizarre. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, no,
usually even called is.
Even this is why I would even say, like, I'm thinking of Inner Earth again with the eye. Your cornea looks like a desert floor. Like a very, scorched earth almost. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your turtle, some turtle shells almost match, what your cornea actually looks like.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that explains because a lot of them like the turtle symbols too.
Yeah,
something real quick, not to backtrack, but we were talking about words with pan in it.
Yes.
Pandemic, pandemonium. Okay. Pansexual.
Oh yeah, that was the one I think we were both like.
What I was trying to say. I just didn't want to. This is farther away enough, so if we scared anybody away, hopefully they don't see that part. But also, pandemic. What was Apollo's twin sister? Artemis, goddess of sudden death.
Oh,
I kid you not. You can look it up. And what was the first two space shuttles? Apollo. Artemis.
Yeah, I was going to say Artemis, yeah.
There was a space shuttle named Artemis?
Yep. Second one that went up to the moon originally. Or I'm not sure if it crashed. I don't care. I don't care about all this NASA stuff. Half of it I know is a lie. I have photos of Kubrick on set in his soundstage, them sweeping the set. Werner von Braun walking on the moon set in his suit. No space.
All right, so you're not talking about the actual shuttle. You're talking about moon missions.
Moon mission shuttles, but again, the fact that they would name their shuttle then, and there's a picture of Nixon going like this to the astronauts. You might have seen that, and then the astronauts going back going, yeah,
everything's A-OK.
Yeah, okay,
yeah, it was an Artemis program. It was a moon mission, moon exploration program.
Yep. And then the clapboard, I saw the picture of that. When they're going Apollo hoax, and before they clap it down, I read the thing, filmed on 4169, April Fool's Day.
Oh, interesting.
And I have a picture with him standing with a whole bunch of people that are in Hollywood, a fiction writer. Werner von Braun wrote a book, something about Mars, but if you look it up, you'll probably find it. But it was talking about the leader on Mars was going to be a guy called Elon.
Yes. Yeah.
I was thinking, and it sounds so much like the ending of Don't Look Up on Netflix. I was like, I could just totally see a scenario like that they're envisioning.
What really blows my mind is that, I'm a lot older than you guys, and I remember the moon missions. I think in 1969, I might have been in first grade. And I was so into it. So when you're learning all this stuff now, or even if you just want to call them theories, right?
Yeah, right.
Theories or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, because I was just totally sucked in. I mean, I had the moon landing curtains, the moon landing sheets and pillowcases and the whole 9 yards. I was totally into it.
Yes.
Not only that, like the thing with Nixon, he's talking to the moon on a regular, like a rotary phone. Oh, come on.
It's like, what'd you dial for long distance? Area 51?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's just super interesting.
You got to connect that, right? It was like a VPN or some shit, a proxy.
So again, Psyche with Eros. Again, there's other equivalents in other cultures, but this is in Trump's penthouse. I think we could back this up.
Yes.
The equivalent. The Romans' Cupid was the equivalent of the Greek god Eros, the origin of the word erotic. In ancient Greece, Eros is often seen as the son of Ares, the god of war, and Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty, as well as sex and desire. Again, for a sex cult, that's very interesting. And then Psyche, the goddess of the soul. Now, again, that connects again to Trump, when I'm going to be showing you in a second. Jupiter agreed on the condition that Eros help him whenever he saw a beautiful young woman that he wished to be with. Jupiter held an assembly in which he instructed Aphrodite to no more harm to Psyche, and he transformed Psyche into the goddess of the soul. Psyche, is there anything on Trump with that? Cupid and Psyche, just a little more another article here, not really relevant. Trump, again, Trump's site, battling for Trump's psyche and Iran, learning fast, Arab Weekly. That's 2019. The Point with CNN Politics, what Chris Christie nails about Donald Trump's psyche. Two other articles here, Mysteries of the Mind, episode 42, Trump's psyche under pressure.
I think Trump was talking smack about Chris Christie yesterday.
Which doesn't surprise me.
He does all the time.
Yeah.
The Trump Psyche and the chiefleader.com. Got a couple of them here. Atlantic. Psyche, what's her other symbol? Butterfly wings. Now, we all know symbolism of those. Mm-hmm. King and Queens. And again, monarch mind control for people who are unaware. A system of the mind control emerged from a satanic ritual abuse and the MK Ultra research program. So it's already admitting here in the public internet domain that it's satanic in origins. Women exposed to these experiments were turned into sex slaves who would do anything for their handler, including having sex with someone or killing someone. Can't pronounce Delilah Dandelion.
Yeah, Dandelions. I don't know.
That lady. Mental liberation.
Yeah.
Yes. The Age of Thought Control describes the techniques used by the therapist to deprogram the heal MK Ultra and satanic abuse. A short film titled Monarch depicts a man trapped in a room with a caged butterfly under the CIA's Monarch mind control program, and a young girl and fellow victim may be his only hope for escape. Now remember, you got Trumps with the magic, mind control, the pentagram on the pineal gland. Mark of the beast is supposed to be on your freaking forehead and or your hand so that you can buy or sell. Freaking Elon Musk, he said this on a freaking roundtable. So yes, I want to model Twitter exactly after the Chinese WeChat. WeChat is awesome. WeChat, you can't buy or sell or even enter a store without having that thing in your phone. Eventually, that's going to go from phone to you. You're going to become a human credit card. Your social security, you can't get online. I think by 2027, 2026, they want to have it instituted where your social security is going to be your login code to get online.
Wow.
That's going to shut up conspiracy people real quick. Government mind control. Let's look into the definition of the word government. Government, the act or process of governing, especially the control and the administration of public policy in a political unit. Govern. To make the administer the public policy and affairs of a state, for example, exercise sovereignty or authority over, to control the speed, magnitude, or regulate, to control the actions or behavior of. I'd like to go with number 3 for this one. Meant. From Old French, meant. From Latin, mind. I would like to control your mind, government. And then Church of Satan, MAGA, Magus, pineal gland. He's in the form of government. Again, these are all the variations that I was mentioning earlier, just for people who want to look it up. Italian is a sorceress or a witch. Spanish, magician or wizard, illusionist. Polish, magician. Sanskrit, magician or priest of the sun. Interesting that he has those 3 sun god relics up there. He's using the term MAGA for his followers. Mage, great illusionist, magician, enchanter. From the Greek magos, Persian learned. Again, Persian is very close to the Babylonian regions. I think it actually was part of the Persian Empire for at one point.
Yeah, Babylon was in northern Iraq, which is part of Persia.
Okay, so there we go. Yeah. Connects again. The Magic of Donald Trump. These are articles you can find. Town Hall, Ben Shapiro, April 2011, 13. Donald Trump, the Magic Man, quotes from Ben Stein, praises him on Twitter following the 2018 midterm election. Newsweek, March 2018. Trump fires back at Obama, boasts he's got a magic wand on economy. Fox News, September 10th, 2018. Trump's policy on the magic wand boosts manufacturing jobs to 399% in the first 26 months. Over Obama's last 26. Forbes, and that was March 11th, 2019. I think that might have been Barron Trump's birthday, right? Isn't it around that time? 18th, March 11th.
That'd be weird if it is
Bangladeshi
3/11.
diplomat. Trump is a magic man, but couldn't build a wall. Politico, April 2019. Trump's magic is evaporating on the campaign trail. CNN. And then again, MAGA. Nigeria means to fool, an idiot, easily duped. And again, you're sitting there with a hat, applauding a guy that's going like this all the time, has so many connections to sun god worship. What was the guy that we were talking about earlier? Josh Sanskaret or whatever? He's got all the Black Cube Square affiliated with him, and he connects to, what's his name? That big speaker? Tony Robbins.
Oh.
That guy, he Black Square Cube, he's affiliated with Tiffany Trump. He's been photoed with her and Trump's ex-wife.
Yeah, this is
And
kind of
Trump-
fun. I've seen a lot of people actually kind of like starting to like point at that dude, that Robbins guy, has like shady and really like associated with some real shady people too.
Talk about mind control. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Barron Trump's birthday is March 20th, 2000.
20th. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, you get Baphomet, Tammuz. Let's take a look at a similar photo. What was Nimrod's name? Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh translate to archer. You got Tammuz looking very similar to Cupid.
Yeah.
And it said that this archer stems from, again, I'm just stating it because it's sake of consistency in lore. I don't have any proof or evidence of this, but what I was reading is that God gave Nimrod, before he rebelled, a bow and arrow from heaven to take out the last of the Nephilim giants. Instead of using it for that, he said, well, what if I declare war on heaven? And it was said that this bow and arrow could kill angels. So he's building a tower that was at least 8,000 something hundred feet tall up into the sky. And we're over here saying, oh, yeah, whatever. Apparently, he's able to build a tower this big. You look up the Oscars, they got the little Tower of Babel in the background. You look up the Babylonian court, you hear a whole bunch of speeches where they're talking about the gods of Babylon, or I don't need Jesus because, I did this all on my own. I posted a video on that. But again, baby Cupid, is he holding daddy's little toy? Just saying, Tammuz, they both got the wings. They both got about the same height. Eros and Psyche. Again, this is number 4. You got Baphomet. You got Apollo. You have Horus up there in the building. You got Tammuz symbolism going on. And now you got Cupid. And Cupid's another variation of Tammuz.
And not to
I think this is the last one.
not to stop you, I just want to throw this in there too, because we're talking about that, and he had the bow.
Yeah.
There is just real quick, there is a membrane. A Bowman's membrane is the layer just underneath the epithelium. This is inside your eyeball. You even have a thing called the Bowman's membrane. So I find that interesting.
Small world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it all just a coincidence? So I think that's the last one. Yeah, and then we go right back to the beginning. And that, gentleman, concludes what I'm pitching is that Nimrod is going to have his son somehow soul put into another body, and that's going to be their antichrist person in Revelation that they're speaking of. Sun god, son of the original rebeller, Apollyon, the destroyer, or son of perdition. Baphomet, he's not known as Satan. It's known as the little pet of Satan on his neck. It's said that Semiramis, his mom, sold him to the devil. That's one of the stories, so that he could be used for a later time, because his mom was so power hungry that she was willing to sell her son.
I think just from the pictures that you showed in the beginning, to me, it was just very blatant that I don't, again, I do wonder sometimes, are the symbols Freemasonic, or is it just symbols that the Freemasons used that came from something else prior? But it's definitely tons of symbolism that just to me would look Freemasonic in nature just to begin with.
Yep.
Besides,
I'm just
all
going
the
over
other
them
stuff
again
that
for
you-
Ron so you can catch up.
Oh, that's right. He didn't get to see those at the beginning. So,
Yeah.
if you want to just go through them real quick, well, we're bullshitting. But like I was saying, I do think, besides all, like, even the eyeball symbolism, I do think there is a ton of Freemason-looking symbolism. And I do think, again, like we were even talking about, like, the hero's arc, from all the stuff that you're even showing in his room and where these things all go back to, I really do think, like, it's almost as if they're boasting about, like, them being that person, and like we're kind of just like the fools worshiping them doing it.
Right. And that's the funniest part, because when you get movies like The Sound of Freedom getting so much hate over it, you're getting people going, well, why would they, make a movie about something? They're only exposing the lowest level scum. Who cares about them? Well, you can always replace that.
This is, and that this might actually, it's like, well, what are you even doing a podcast for? But to an extent, in my opinion, something that I think has screwed up the conspiracy community to an extent with, and I think a lot of it really was due to Q. If my next door neighbor doesn't believe in child sex trafficking, which I'd find that hard to believe. I think most people do believe that exists, actually.
Yes.
If they didn't believe in it and they watch that movie and they're like, all right, you know what? I actually believe it exists. That actually doesn't change a goddamn thing about it.
Yeah, that's my point on that.
Because the people who are doing it, we don't even know who the fuck they are. And the people that are going to stop them are the ones that half the conspiracy theorists are blaming for doing it already. Right. So, like, what is that movie accomplishing?
So you're putting your faith back in your three-letter agency, which you already don't trust originally, but now you do because they're stopping the kids, but they're the ones who are transferring the kids or making sure it's like the drug trade. The CIA was the one that did it, but we're over here praising them again as the one stopping child trafficking.
It's like just because like 46,000 people on Instagram happen to read a meme, does that mean that since you know that, it's going to stop?
Right.
That's like a huge problem, I think, with social media. Oh, I've seen that. I believe it. Well, now it's going to stop because we all believe it. And the people in charge are going to be like, oh, fuck, they're going to stop us, even though we don't know who they are. Right. Like, it's silly, actually. I hate to say it. It's kind of silly.
The irony is that the people who are good-natured, now that I'm informed or other people can be informed, it's like now they're using your money to expand their empire. It's like, well, let's look up Tim Ballard. Look up the Afghanistan World Foundation. Dianne Feinstein's on the list. And what's his face? Henry Kissinger, Rothschild's agent, and Tim Ballard is on that board. And we all know Henry Kissinger was the guy that taught Mr. Eat Bugs from the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab's mentor in college. Does that sound like somebody who's not controlled? Sorry. That's controlled as controlled gets. You're like Rothschild's number 2 man.
Henry Kissinger is the evilest of all of them. I think
he makes Soros look like Charlie the Tuna. Yeah,
he's the one that just really his doctrine was put out to everybody, right? I mean, and that prick is still alive. Explain that. I mean, Henry Kissinger was old when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So
he was around during the oil industry, and he's also the one that helped put in our education system where we become so dumb, or people like when you do expose something, it's like, well, the moon landing was totally a thing. Somebody can't even critically think that if you provide visuals. They're over here like, well, that's Photoshop. That's this. It's like you're becoming Yuri Bezmenov, the guy that defected in the 80s. Says even if you give them visual proof of what exactly is going on before them, they're going to deny it and call you the delusional one or the conspiracy theorist. Yeah, that is most conservatives these days, not liberals, conservatives.
And that is something that's really coming to light now, too. Yes. And I have said this 100 times. A lot of people in our community, and I don't even know if we want to call it a community, but you know what? I'm really getting tired of trying to help you open your eyes because you can do anything and everything. Lay it out on a silver freaking platter, give it to them on something that you can prove is not Photoshop, and they still will deny it. That's just the nature of people that have been brainwashed and indoctrinated, and that goes for all of us to an extent.
Oh, yes. I include myself with that all the time, Ron. All the time.
Yeah. So that's just something like the movie you want to talk about, Sound of Freedom. That has caused a huge rift in like the Patriot community.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that in a previous episode. And I'm like, okay, if you take all that stuff and just put it off to the sides, now this is exposing that this is really happening. Can we get people to believe that this is really happening?
Right.
But, because, people like us, well, we know what's happening, right? But you got people, like I talked to them in the shop, they're like, oh, no, that's not high level stuff. That's not going on. Okay, it is going on. But I'm kind of tired of expending my energy trying to make you understand that.
Yes.
I hardly even post on social media anymore because it's just pointless.
Just go about your life Go about your life. Go rack up your credit cards. Go do your things. Watch your Netflix.
Right.
Do all this other stuff. Right now, get back. I just saw a thing with China. Right. Bring back Henry Kissinger into it. Who got us hooked back up with China?
Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger.
Mao.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They called that détente back then.
And he's also the one that introduced it in his classes. He actually had his students read Mao's works. And Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, that's like his number one protege. So again, the dominoes fall in line if you're willing to research it. But when people are asking the question, well, what significance does this have? You don't even understand controlled opposition. Yeah. If you understand who's backing who's in the shadow of this individual, that's the one you really want to look at. That's the one you want to start exposing. Because if you're just looking at the prompt man, of course you're not going to see it. That's the one that's meant to entertain you.
Yeah.
While the real stuff gets done behind the scenes.
And who was president during our getting back together with China? Who was the president at that time who happens to be the same president when we first allegedly went to the moon?
Nixon.
Richard Nixon. Yeah. So I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember photos. Yep.
So he was all part of the great psyop too, as far as I'm concerned.
Most likely part of the assassination too for Kennedy.
Well, I think he was aware of that. That's another thing that we're all looking into is the whole Kennedy thing, because that's being brought back into light ever since RFK now wants to get involved in politics. But if you look back at Nixon, was the whole Watergate scandal just designed to get him out from being president in an easier way?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because the Watergate scandal, by today's standards, is nothing. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm going to.
A lot of the recordings that they got is like you start hearing about conversations that he was having with people. They're saying who's in charge. There's even a clip with Billy Graham saying he's tired of his little overlords over there in Israel. Says it on the tape, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic." He's like, "No, I'm tired of them." He later recanted and apologized, saying, "I didn't say that." After they're like, "Here's the clip." Okay, I'm sorry.
You know what's interesting? What's interesting about the whole thing, because Jews are the sacred lamb, right? You can't touch them. You can't talk about them or whatever. But when I was doing shows on the Khazarian Empire, nice. and it clearly talks about how, they selected Judaism out of the three Abrahamic religions. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to Babylon, where the people the Jews were enslaved in Babylon. Yep. And people that came out of Babylon were given, I think the Babylonians actually gave them the name Jews. And this is why you could tell there's a big difference between Jews and Hebrews.
Yes.
Because all Hebrews are Jews, but not all Jews are Hebrews. Right?
100% correct. Yep.
And this is where the Khazarian Empire comes into play, in the Khazarian Mafia, which is, all the elites that we're talking about. There's definitely a connection there. And I'm going to be getting into that series a lot. That was one of my absolute biggest shows that we ever had on the Wicked Planet, was when we were talking about the Khazarian Empire. And people are still emailing me wanting to hear more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit you up on Facebook, Brandon, so I can see a lot of this stuff.
Instagram would probably be better, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Do you have this stuff on Instagram?
That's my main bread and butter, actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I write inscriptions.
Yeah, his posts are solid on there. There's a lot of info and a lot of photos.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I take 2 hours to write per inscription. So I'm telling people, I'm like, don't ask me things in the comments. Like, just read the inscription. I take 2 hours to write it.
Yeah,
I was thinking that prior to the show. I was like, this guy can make some mean, sick posts, but when it comes to the podcasting and hooking up your microphone, there's an issue.
I hate that part, dude.
I know. I was like, I know he knows how to use technology in some form or fashion because he does it on Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm like, I literally will pay somebody to be my technical assistant. I'll do all the reading, researching, and talking, but like somebody do the tech stuff, please.
Well, we got you up and running today.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much for that.
But Brandon, I will be reaching out to you because I'd love to get you on Wicked Planet at some time. at some
I
point. So
love the exposure that I can get out there. I love talking
nice,
about this stuff.
Yeah. NY and I, we've been doing a lot together in cross promoting and putting shows out on both ends. And
yeah,
I got to tell you, like the listeners really like that stuff. So
yeah, that's why I've been trying to do more of stuff like that with you and other people. It seems to do very well.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I love talking with people that actually get it. Sometimes I feel so alone. I'm like, nobody gets what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, I already believed it before I even saw your post. So I was like, at least now he's got photos and receipts. So I was like, I got to cover this,
So many people are like,
interesting.
Did you post it all in stills? I'm like, if I just do 10 slides, I don't think you'll be able to grasp the entirety of what I am indicating right here.
No, I love how you even cover like a lot of the, even where the stuff comes from and the history behind it or the mythology behind it. I thought that was a solid, well-presented episode. Thank you very much, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to plug your stuff real quick before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Krollology, KROLL, OLOGY, _101. You can find me on Instagram. Again, I think you'll probably have that in the tags down below if anybody wants to find that. But yeah, that's my main thing. I'm trying to get something going on with Rumble. I'm supposed to talk with a guy tonight to help me be a distant technical guy. So we'll see how that goes. So I can get better at the StreamYard thing and maybe find out where the fluke's going on with all that.
What you got to do, Brandon, let me tell you right now, you got to go, you got to spend a little money.
Oh, yeah. No.
And I'm not telling you got to buy a Rodecaster, but what I am going to tell you is you can buy Zoom, not the Zoom that we're on now, but Zoom Labs.
Zoom Labs
makes a kit that you can buy that's all USB, and it gives you a set of headphones and a microphone that you plug right into your USB port in your laptop, and it'll eliminate your issues that you're having with StreamYards.
Okay. Zoom Labs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Writing it down.
And once we're on Instagram, if you got any technical questions, you can hit me up because I've had to learn all this stuff myself.
I was going to say, you could always ask me too, like on making stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I told him, I'm an audio/in-person teacher. I look up the stuff on YouTube. I will find the fluke. Every IT person I meet, they're always like, I've never seen this in the 20 years. I'm the guy that'll find your problem. Guarantee you. Guarantee you.
I'm that one in a million.
Yeah, I'm the Hope Diamond of technology flukes.
Yeah, Brandon, do you have any more information for the listeners where they can find you, or is Instagram the best place?
Instagram's the best one. On Rumble right now, I have an account, no videos posted yet. But I mean, you type my name in YouTube, you'll probably find me on a couple other shows and a couple other spots that I've done.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
And I mean, as you can see here on Facebook, you do have Brandon Kroll there as well if people wanted to follow you there.
Yeah. But only follow me if you like what I'm posting. I don't need to hear all this pathetic comments. If you don't like it, keep scrolling. I'm okay with that.
You know what's funny with Facebook? I literally just use it to post stuff, but I don't check a damn thing. Like it's automatically posted from Instagram or from StreamYard. And I went on there recently just because I wanted to post stuff on the Rex Heuermann case in true crime. And I saw I had all these messages about the podcast, and I was like, oh, damn. And I messaged them back, and I was like, please, if you want to get in touch with me, just hit me up on Instagram. I hardly ever check this. So it's like, it's just like a default thing that I just send stuff to most of the time.
Yeah, my Facebook is like my personal thing. I don't do much with the show on Facebook. Yeah. Instagram is where the podcasters hang out. There's a fair amount of us now that have kind of gone on to Twitter a little, but Instagram is still my favorite.
It's the best to get in touch with other people, in my opinion. I like it. Yeah. All right, so I have all your stuff in the bottom. If anything changes before this is dropped, you can always send me a link and be like, here's a new link for a new thing I got out, whatever, and I will add it into the show notes before it drops. And Ron, you want to just remind everybody where your show, where they can find all your stuff as well?
Oh, yeah, sure. You can find me on Instagram at Ron from New England. And we have another page that's for the show. That's the Wicked Planet podcast. Come and check us out. Go follow the Ron from New England page. That's where the funny shit is. Yes. And I'm on Twitter, Ron from NE. The Wicked Planet is recorded typically on a Wednesday night. It's usually out on a Thursday or Friday. Right now, we're still at one show a week, but we're coming. I don't want to wish my summer away, but summer's coming to an end. Once we get into fall and into winter, Buckley, my co-host, and I are planning to put a little bit more time into it and put out some additional shows during the week. But this is our busy time of year. I'm enjoying the outside. I'm enjoying my little oasis at home. And so it's one show a week. And as a matter of fact, tonight is going to be the first night that we're back in a week or so. So come check out the Wicked Planet. You'll see a lot of collaborations with the New York Patriot and myself and our other friend, JJ Vance, when we're doing the Idaho 4 murder series. That's getting received very well, and we will be coming out with a part 4 soon. We're not sure, but we're going to set it up real soon.
Yeah, we should actually talk about that soon, yes.
But yeah, come and check me out. If you got any questions, you want to email me at thewickedplanetpodcast@gmail.com. Awesome. And other than that, thank you, Brandon. I want to thank you for coming on, New York Patriot, as always. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes.
I look forward to getting into this subject a little heavier because this stuff will blow your mind.
Thank you both very much, of course, like I was saying before, for coming on. And you did a great presentation. Regardless of all the stuff prior, it came out great, So thank you very much, my man. And that is the end of another NY Patriot episode. All their links are in the bottom. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.